Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to Predatory Exotics. On today's video, we're going to be doing a first hit at Predatory Exotics. It is actually making a custom background for one of our enclosures. It's done a lot, you see a lot of it on YouTube, but we're going to try it for the first time. So we're going to make a DIY desert background. Not sure what exact species this is going to be for. It's probably going to be for some sort of micro gecko. We might move our Cenodactylus that we currently have into it, or we might get in a new species, which will be also very exciting. So we've got some polystyrene foam boards that we're going to carve out with a hot wire cutter. This is all new to us, so we've got all the equipment, we've had a little test, we've actually cut out the panels that we need already, but we can show you how we do that, as well as how we're going to glue in, carve it out, and then we'll get into the grouting and colouring stage as well. But without further ado, let's get into the build. So basically what we did is we went to Wix and got a massive sheet of polystyrene foam board. You can get this second hand if it's being thrown away, but we thought it was easier because where we work we can get some. But it's easier to start with the sheet and then mould. So for our first one we didn't want to make it too complicated. So what we went and done, we've already cut out the boards that we need. So out of the massive sheet we cut bits out, this way we can put them into the background. So they'll fit nicely like that. They're all cut out. We used this hot wire cutter that's got a few different attachments. This is the attachment we used for the first one. It's just like a long stick one that heats up, and then you can just cut down the polystyrene foam board. But we will be using different equipment to shape it and stuff like that. It's really awesome. Really like this bit of kit. We'll have to do a review on it at some point. But again, all the boards fit, so we'll get into gluing, stick it all down, stick down all the different fake rocks that we've done, because we have cut out some bits like this that will act as like ledges inside the enclosure, which will be quite cool. And then we'll carve it afterwards, but we have to stick it, let it cure, and then we'll go into the carving a bit later. So we're on to day 2 of the project. You saw me starting to glue everything in. I used no more nails to do the sides and the back of the enclosure, but inside it wouldn't seem to stick the polystyrene to the polystyrene here. So I then tried to use hot glue gun, which didn't really work. It glued the 2 bits together on the ledge, but it wouldn't glue it to the sides. So what I came up with, I put cocktail sticks inside and then Gorilla Glue. So as I put it on the cocktail sticks, that held it in place and held it for the Gorilla Glue. And they're nice and solid now. It's not going to be a heavy species in here, but they are really solid. So I would say even sort of medium-sized lizards and stuff you could use this technique for. But for now, you can see I've done some of the carving on these rocks to make them look more rocky. But I've got to blend it into the background, do all the background, do some sloping, some edging, and we've got 2 different tools. We used the longer one of this for the other project, and then we've got this hot wire that we can carve stuff out with. So we're going to try a few different techniques, probably put it on time lapse. The only thing I will say, definitely use a mask or something and do it in a well ventilated area. I did it in a well ventilated area earlier, or yesterday, but it was there was a lot of fumes, so I'm going to wear a mask this time as well, just because it is heavy on the fumes. So without further ado, let's get into carrying on the build. As this is the final look for the sort of backdrop that we're going for, the custom background. Basically what happened, the camera died. You saw me going through it, but it was really hard to get the utensils around this bottom bit. It looks cool around here, all this rocky bit, and the ledge is all rocky and it blends in all here. And we got some good textures in there as well, but that bottom bit is really difficult to get. So we've left it like this, but this is the final look. So now we need to go on to the grouting stage, so I'll put you back on the tripod and we'll get into that now. So guys, we're moving on to the grout stage now. So I've actually got this. This is just from B&Q. It's a coloured grout, so you can buy like a white one and then use a cement tinting on it, but we've just bought this brown colour. I'm not sure if it's going to be correct because we've never used it before. We've got to mix this up and then put it on. There are directions for how much water to put in, but we want a thinner layer first to coat the whole thing. Then we'll get thicker as we add more layers, because we are going to do about 3 layers on this. So we're going to start putting it in the pot, mix it up to the right consistency, and we'll start brushing it all over, and then it's going to look a lot different, I hope.
guys, this is what it looks like after the first coat. It's actually turned out really cool. It looks a bit darker, it's quite light on the camera, but it's a little bit darker in person, but I'm assuming as it dries it will actually lighten up. Really happy with it. Had to get in all the sort of cracks and crevices, so I used the big paintbrush like you saw I was using, and then I actually used a knife to fill in these cracks around where it's filled in. That way if crickets or anything, they can't burrow into the polystyrene. It looks like a lot smoother edge. And I did the same around here because where I didn't want to get in the doors, I filled it in so that they can't get behind the background. Filled that all in with the grout, and then used just the brush to get rid of them stroke marks with the knife. But it turns out I'm really pleased with it so far. Wait for this to dry, I don't know how long it's going to take. Then we'll do 1 or 2 more layers, but really pleased with it so far, and it's keeping all that detail. I'm not sure if the detail is enough because as you put more layers of grout, it smooths it out. But it's still looking nice and rocky at the moment, and then we'll move on to the next one when we get to it. So this is what it's looking like after the second coat. This is after about 48 hours after the second coat was applied. So it is dry now, so I'm ready for the third coat. There's still quite a bit of detail, but some of the detail has been lost because as you apply more and more layers of grout, the detail does diminish. But you can see there's still it's looking quite rocky, and I've still got 1 layer to do. Got to make sure just some of the holes and stuff I've got to fill in, make sure there's nowhere that any feeder insects or anything like that can get into the foam background. We want it to be fully secure so it's all nice and rocky and it lasts as long as possible. So I'm going to move on to getting the third layer mixed up, put that on, and that'll be dry, and then the foam background will be done. So let's get into doing that now. So this is the final result of the rock building. It's all dry now after the third coat. It's got a nice rocky texture. It's nice and hard, super solid. I think it's going to be nice and hard wearing. It's only going to be for some sort of smaller desert gecko, so it's not like it's going to be a monitor lizard trying to claw through it. But it provides loads of grip. They can get up onto these surfaces. These are nice and strong as well. So hopefully going to put something just across that tiny gap so they can get across, and then some sort of ramp to go up here so they can go all the way up the side, the back, then up to this bit as well. So it's going to be really useful, and they're going to utilise all this space as well. A couple of things I thought would be useful. With these I used the toothpicks that I thought was quite good. That means it's secured into the wall and it's super solid now. That is not coming down. It's only going to be literally stuff that weighs grams, so it's not like it's going to pull it down anyway. And then I also made sure I left the space for the wiring, because the basking spot's going to be here, so I need to make sure that temperature probe is coming out of there and onto here as well. And then I did have to use a knife for some of it to put in some of the grout. So I did fill all of that gap in just there, and shoved it in down the side. Did that on both sides, so that no crickets or anything can get behind the background, because then they would burrow into the polystyrene. So that way it's all secure. And I did the same with the seam onto the ledges as well, just because there was a small gap, so I made sure the seam was filled. That way it blends in a little bit better and nothing can get behind. You can, if you want, you can wrap the side or paint it. So paint it with the same colour brown so it's all the same, or do like a black wrap all the way around. I'd probably go for the black wrap so it sort of matches in with the Exoterra. Black that all the way around, but where I'm putting it, it's going to be up against loads of other tanks, so you're not necessarily going to see the back. And if for any reason something does get behind the background, an animal or a feeder insect or something, I can just see where it is rather than having to try and scrape off paint or peel stuff off. I can see where it is exactly. But that is the final product. I'm really happy with it. You can do like extra painting and stuff like airbrushing, or do like a dry brush on it as well. But I really like the look of it. It looks similar to the excavator clay, which is what we've got in at the moment. So I'm really happy with it. We can obviously add the sand. Might put some sand on the ledges as well, but really happy with this result. So we're all done with this project now. Obviously we've got to do the hardscape, the substrate, everything like that, but we're not 100% sure what species we're putting into it. but really glad how it turned out. I think the rock looks nice and realistic and the texture is really cool. Was worried about the colour, I thought it was really dark when it was drying, but I left it at least 48 hours each time, so it lightened up quite a lot, and it looks similar to the excavator clay like I said. I'm really pleased how it's come out, and you can see there I've got loads more polystyrene to do, all the different tanks that we have, as well as loads more grout, and the grout's literally easy to get, it's just down the road. So we've got all that. Eventually we can do pretty much all our tanks like this, at least all of the desert ones. If we do sort of jungle ones, they are going to have to be sealed so that the water can't get into it because a lot of moisture. But this one would only be sort of sprayed down once a week, just a light misting to replicate like a mist in the desert or something like that. But for now, this one is an awesome tank. I hope you have enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment down below if you think this is cool and if you're going to try it yourself, because it's really not that difficult to do. As long as you just buy all the different bits and you've got a little bit of imagination on what you can do this at home, and it is 10 times better than just a normal Exoterra background in the back. You can utilise all three sides, and animals I think would be so much more enriching if they had all this, and they feel more secure as well because the sides are blacked out or backed out, so they can feel more secure. They've only got the top and the front, and that way they can be secure and utilise all the space available. Well, enough from me, but please keep tuned to the channel because we will be filling this in the next couple of weeks with an animal, either upgrading one of our current animals or getting a new one. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel. I hope you have an awesome day and we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.